What's going on here, guys? Had more earth-shattering developments with the system. It can absolutely extract power out of the earth, unlimited amounts of power out of the earth. I added this huge plate of foil with just a wire that comes off of it, and it dramatically increased my power more than I even thought possible. So what's occurring here is this plate is somehow able to extract power from the earth wirelessly. Again, DC caps powers up this DC board that runs the transmitter. All I need now is one receiver coil plus the energy from this plate that goes through a full bridge rectifier and then to earth ground, which gives me my extra power. So I mastered my ground extraction circuitry. The potential and power comes from this plate going to the AC end of my special rectifier and the AC end of earth ground. So there's a potential when the system is on between that metal plate and earth ground. There's a potential there. That DC then goes to the receiver, and that receiver has another full bridge rectifier on it. So we have the DC of that and the DC of that. We have the DC of the ground extraction circuitry combined with the receiver coil, and we get about, I think it's at like 2 amps now at 50 volts. But anyway, that's not the interesting thing. That power then charges these DC supercaps, and then those DC supercaps power up an inverter, and that inverter powers a load into the earth ground. And when the system is on, we pump charge out of the earth. The system is somehow pumping a 60 hertz charge from the inverter out of the earth to run any load we want that the inverter can handle. So I'll switch the system on. It is off right now. I'll switch it on. Assuming 20 watts. The wireless power is phenomenal. I'll demonstrate that. The wireless power can now be relayed off of the aluminum foil that's down here. And it is slightly being dampened because the receiver is sucking up a lot of it. But if I get this just right, you'll see that it will stay lit. So, if these supercaps weren't charging from the radiant energy, this board would be glowing. But anyway, that's not really what I wanted to show. What I wanted to show now is how... So this is the charge on these supercaps here. The system is on, you can hear it humming, so they're charging up. This is what I want to show. I want to switch the inverter on, and now our bulb is lit. This bulb is lit from the earth ground. We're using one leg of the inverter, bypassing the meter, and going to earth ground. And not only are we running that bulb for free, we're also recharging our supercaps simultaneously, while still using 20-something watts. This is now a Don Smith system. I will shut the system off. You can see how turning the system on and off can mess with the brightness of the bulb. There's a residual charge that remains in the system if I toggle it on or off. It's like once you start the oscillation, it wants to stay. So I started an energy cascade between the earth and my system. As you see, we're off, and that bulb is still lit from the energy cascade. The only way to permanently kill that bulb would be to disconnect the inverter charging circuitry. So again, I'll turn the system on. And when I do that, I'm just hitting this button. So, it's giving off some type of flicker, because this is like earth current it's extracting. It's a type of frequency from the earth. I don't think it's traditional electromagnetism, but I could be wrong on that. And now I will show that very heavy loads can be run here. Here's a 50-watt incandescent. And this output is what would recharge my source and keep it going indefinitely. There's a 50-watt incandescent being run off earth power. There's a charge on our super caps. It's much more efficient. It costs us a fraction of what it would normally cost to run the load this way than as to closing the loop with the inverter. The earth is the other end of the loop. And as you see, it is flickering. These are earth currents, folks. Now I'm going to toggle the system on and off and show you that the Tesla coil system is causing a charge pumping effect. Hopefully you can see that. So, it is brightening and dimming. And our system rapidly recharges. Turn this back on again. So in theory, if we had a massive cap bank here acting as an energy buffer between the earth and the system, we'd be able to run huge loads simultaneously and still recharge the system. So again, I'll turn it back on. And for those who doubt that the earth is running the load, we can get down in here and you can see that this comes off of my heater, and this can be connected to a pipe in the ground and it will still give power. So have to be careful not to get zapped. This wire, if making contact with a good earth connection, will light. So here's my heater. Again, I'll touch to the heater. The bulb immediately lights. You can even see it sparking. Earth currents. And it's flickering. I can even run a 200-watt bulb at this spot. Doesn't seem very stable, but it's power nonetheless. Radiant energy. I'll even get a distant ground wire and show you what it can do. So here I have a distant ground wire. This just hooks up to that outlet way over there, the ground. That's a distant ground outlet. I'll now hook this here instead. It still lights. The ground is what's supplying our power. And this is a separate ground. Again, I'll hook it back up to the heater, and we can see it sparking when I hook it up. Like, look at the ground currents we can extract. And the Tesla coil is pumping the charge from the inverter. The Tesla coil is pumping the 60 hertz charge from the inverter out of the earth. See that? And the earth shorts it out. Another earth connection. Interesting. And if I were to touch a wireless light here, it would absolutely light very bright from the radiant energy that we can extract out of the earth. So basically what's occurring is we're paying just for the energization current of the inverter, and the earth supplies us with the rest of the power. Oh, that's hot. And as you see, we're almost at a full charge again. And if I wanted to recharge the system, I would hook up my DC power supply here and hook it back up to the input, and it would recharge itself. Now I will show the raw output of my receiver coil combined with the earth energy extraction circuit. So here's the DC output of my combined circuitry. Pretty good. I'll hook it up to a incandescent bulb, and I tune it now for the most amount of power out of it. So this is a 120 volt, 100 watt bulb. So my wireless receiver coil plus the ground energy extraction circuit. We'll run this guy. Pretty decent brightness. You know, that's how I tune the system. He gets hot enough to slightly burn the wood. The filament is glowing molten in there. A lot of current required to do that. Now I will show the short circuit current of that point. So I'll hook up the meter. So the meter is hooked up. We have over 1 amp. Keep in mind, while that's dead shorted, we have our power efficiency improved when you dead short the received power. So that's doing that. And while that occurs, we still have wireless power effects that we can exploit. What kind of system can be dead shorted and still give you wireless power? Proving our source has very little, our load has very little impact on our source when it's wireless power, if you get the decoupling correct. And here's the voltage. .47 volts times 1.26 amps. I can get this even higher if I move this and get it positioned right. Yeah, there we go. And I go by the brightness of a bulb. So I'm going to try and get this bulb the brightest I can. As you see, we just have a decent amount of current here. That's our current from our receiver and our ground energy extraction circuit. Decent amount of current. going to try and position this until the bulb gets the brightest. Okay, so it's the brightest right here. Okay. Now I will show that, see how we're not powering up the, so now we have this receiver coil. This proves the receiver coil is stimulating the 60 hertz energy release from the inverter. So I'll turn the inverter on. The bulb is not running from the earth anymore. If I disconnect the bulb here that's being run and connect just the positive to the super cap, the bulb will come on and flicker. So we have the release of earth currents from one wire. It will work with just the positive or just the negative. So as you see, this is a one-wire system capable of stimulating the release of ambient energy from the earth. Again, my receiver coil outputs come off of a special circuit that uses blocking capacitors, so we can't say it's passing through somehow because we're using the special blocking capacitors. And again, just the positive connected will cause the bulb to come on. I'm going to try and get that in frame. Just the positive will cause the bulb to come on. Just the negative will cause the bulb to come on. And again, when we want to recharge this super cap bank, we have to have the positive and the negative hooked up. That's the output from our receiver and our ground energy extraction circuitry, charging up our super cap. That stimulates the release of power from the earth. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show. Major breakthrough. I'll zoom in on some of the components, let you see some stuff. There's this huge cap here that stores a charge in my receiver coil as well, which helped. And again, I'll shut the system off, and we will see how rapidly, wow, we didn't even lose a charge that time. We didn't even lose a charge. I was running a 40-watt incandescent load from the earth, and we didn't even lose a charge on the super cap. So I'm thinking I'm going to extend this cap bank to be 4 long like that one, and then wrap it in foil. Foil really helps with the accumulation and release of power. And there's our charge on the system. And I'll end the video by running a extremely powerful 200-watt heat light at that spot and absolutely blow you away, proving there's no limit to the amount of ambient energy power you can extract from the earth once you properly one-wire stimulate it with a Tesla coil pump system, and you superimpose the inverter frequency into the receiver coil, and then you get power. So turn it on. This is where a big super cap bank would come in handy, because now we're going to put a huge load on the one-wire system. So there's no doubts. 200-watt bulb. 200-watt, 120-volt. You can run anything now with this system. I can screw the light bulb in. And I can't run this for too long because my wires will smoke. Oh my god, that's hot. And that being run hardly places a load on the super cap. Doesn't affect our source because our source is triggering it to be run. I'll shut it off, we'll see how quick we recharge. So as you see, we very rapidly recharge with super caps. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes, this will be at like 13.20 again. So what's occurring is the high frequency is rapidly recharging the super caps in the system. We get a gain in power from the earth itself, including the aluminum foil. We're using non-linear components. Our diodes, the earth itself is part of the system. It's high frequency. We're using one wire in certain spots. We're combining a ground energy extraction circuit with a resonant receiver coil. And the system is very non-linear. As you see, we're charging up again. And I haven't once recharged this system from mains after I built it. This thing is completely self-sustaining and its own energy source once started. Once it's off running, you're good to go. It charges itself. I hook up a DC to DC boost board and recharge it that way. Or you can hook up a DC power supply to the inverter and have it recharge itself. As you see, we're at a pretty good charge. And I will now have the system recharge itself and show that on camera so everyone can see. This is almost going to be like a long video diary series. So I will take my DC power supply. So here's my DC power supply. Instead of powering the bulb, I will power the DC power supply. As we can see, that's how it's connected. Connected in a non-linear way. Now I will have the system recharge itself. Okay, so system is on. Power supply on. There's our charge on the super cap. I'll hook this up. Now the system will recharge itself. As you see, because we're in resonance, it will not take long at all to recharge itself. Not exactly sure why it's doing that. Not sure why it won't fully power on. That's weird. It did used to charge. Possible technical difficulty. Never had that happen before. The inverter's kind of spazzing out. I might have to use the DC boost board instead. Try it one more time. I don't like troubleshooting in videos. Unless I have to switch my connections, which wouldn't make any sense because it's AC. Nope, still not working. Maybe the power supply has to be grounded, but the ground is hot because in the Tesla system the ground becomes hot. So in this system the ground becomes hot and your virtual ground becomes your ground. Well, I'm gonna have to get this to charge from the DC boost board, which absolutely works. So that's kind of funny. That's that. Just not sure why that won't power up normally. It was powering up all those other times. Maybe I have to lower the current a little bit. Try it like that. Now it's working. Might have been too much current there. Okay, good.
It's a good movie, huh? I didn't know they made one just for Han Solo.
Here's our charge in the supercap. Once it turns green, we know we're fully charged. That light will turn green when we're charged. Voltage is 13.08 and charging. The key is speed. Ooh. You want to recharge it quick. Yeah, anyway, that's how you recharge the system. We'll just let that go for a bit. See what our supercap charge is sitting at. 12.76. Which I can get that to recharge if I change my position a bit. Oh yeah, look at that. Got it to recharge by slightly tweaking the position of the coil. So the thing with this system and the tuning, adjusting the coils is part of the tuning too. There's so much fine tuning with it. Everything gets so tuned, it's almost like there's sub-tuning with it. So, wonder what this thing is at for a charge. It's got to be close. Because when the system's in resonance, it'll say it's consuming power, but I don't think it's consuming as much power as it says when it's in resonance. So, let's just see here. Oh yeah, that's 13.3. I consider 13.3 pretty much a full charge on this thing. We're almost there. 13.31. That's the input caps I'm recharging with the earth energy from the inverter. So the system gets started, the earth itself continues running the loads. Once this light turns green, I'll shut it off, which means we're charged. I don't know if it will turn green because we are drawing a load here. It turned green when it was at 5 amps. And this video is going to be long. It's almost like a video diary series. See what our charge on our buffer supercaps are. Can't tell if we're draining it or charging it because we're in hyper resonance. Trying to tune it a little bit. I think we're good. And the wireless power is just phenomenal. Anyone who says you can't get amps from a Tesla coil, they're horrifically mistaken and have no clue what they're talking about. They don't build it correctly, and they just have no idea what they're talking about. So anyway, here we go. See what our charge is at. I might shut it off soon. We're practically at a full charge. Oh yeah, 13.34. 35. And with that nearly full charge, it's like at 90%. I can then begin again doing hours of experimenting with the system. So I'll turn this guy off. Well, first I'll disconnect it. This is my input cap bank that powers up the board, powers up the transmitter. And then the receiver coils, which are wireless, get energized, boosting power from the earth. So this is off now. DC power supply can again go back to where he was living, next to my shotgun. Went skeet shooting it the other day with a few of my friends. So anyway, again, here's our charge. Look how quick we bounce back. It's like we didn't even... Look how fast those supercaps bounce back. Incredible. So I just proved in this video I maintained a full charge, recharged the system to almost 100%, and we didn't lose any charge at all. And again, here's the charge on our input. .24. If I shut this off, because the system is drawing a load, the wireless power is drawing a load from the supercaps, draining the voltage, we will see we hardly... Yeah. So, system is recharging. So that's that. I think I'm running out of space on my phone now. And yeah, I could pretty much make this thing just charge itself indefinitely on loads. This is the raw output from my receiver coil circuit, combined with the ground energy extraction circuit. Probably should stop doing that. This bulb looks like it wants to burst when I put it there. Oh my god. There's your over unity that comes from the earth, and your nonlinear components in the circuit, such as your diodes, ultra efficient diodes, 1N5817, and I'm getting much better ones soon too, state of the art, which have negative resistance and quantum tunneling, so that'll be even more interesting. There's our charge. And the system can just keep itself going indefinitely. Notice how efficient we became when we recharged the supercap. It almost views it as a short circuit. Crazy, huh? So, that's that. And stay tuned, everybody. It's getting very interesting.